Lee, and I'll be serving as your event moderator today. I work with the Undergraduate Admissions Office with UC Davis. First and foremost, we want to congratulate all of you that are admitted to UC Davis. Know that this is such a huge accomplishment, and we appreciate you taking time to learn more about the new business major with our Graduate School of Management. We recognize that many of you are admitted to our new business major, but some of you that are attending today may not have been admitted to the business major. So we appreciate you taking time to learn more and asking your questions about what's life expected to be like. But with that, I'd like to hand it off to our Graduate School of Management. First, you'll have the opportunity to meet Dominique Jackson. And with that, thank you everyone and congratulations.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dominique. I think I may have met some of you if you came around to visit us for Aggie Day on Saturday. But to those of you who couldn't attend, welcome. I am one of the academic advisors for business major students. I have been on campus for 9 years. I've worked as an advisor in other offices. I've worked as a case manager as well. One of my favorite things about UC Davis is just that it seems like every few days you can spot a random cat somewhere around campus. And then we also have a really cool center here at UC Davis where they rehabilitate birds. So the Raptor Center is worth checking out if you are local to the area. And then one of the things that I'm not so fond of is seasonal allergies. The campus is gorgeous. There's lots of trees and flowers, but that means that there's also lots of things to make you sneeze. Julie?
Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Bergall. I am the Director of Undergraduate Advising and Policy for the Graduate School of Management. I've been on campus for 18 years, and UC Davis to me is like a second home. I was a student here as an undergrad, and I have been working here, like I said, for 18 years, and I really like how campus feels, sort of its laid back feel, park-like campus, especially right now in the spring. Um, I One of my dislikes is how crowded things can get during passing time. Those 10 minutes can be a little intense in terms of all the biking and bikers and walkers. So I just try to avoid those times on campus when I'm trying to go to meetings and such. And I'm going to pass it off to Amy.
Hi everyone, I'm a fourth year undergraduate student here at UC Davis. I'm majoring in economics and I also have minors in technology management and accounting. I like about UC Davis is how downtown is right next to campus. So if I ever want to like grab food, there's like a variety of food right next to campus and I can just come back for class as well. And my dislikes is how it can get pretty hot when summer and like spring actually arrives. Like I think like this weekend is gonna get into the high 80s already. So yeah.
All right, so I'm going to start by introducing an overview of the major. So one of the key things is that this is a STEM designated major, which sets it apart from some programs at other schools. And what that means is that there's really going to be a strong quantitative focus, particularly early on. So the total major is 108 or 109 units. It's about 4 units per class, and to get any degree at UC Davis, you need 180. So you can see that there's a little bit of extra space there, which gives you the option to double major, depending on how many classes the other major needs, or you could always add a minor. One of the things to keep in mind, though, that you can't do is to double major with economics or managerial economics. I know some of you joining us might be in those majors and considering swapping over. So just know that it wouldn't be possible to double major. They're too similar. And then students who are in the business major cannot choose to do one of our minors. Again, it's a little bit too much of a cheat code. So you would have to choose a minor in a different department. Of those units, the 108 to 109, you're looking at 52 to 53 units of preparatory courses. That's about 13 classes. 13 classes, and then 10 units of actual business core and econ core classes. So 10 classes there. And then as you move into your upper division work, you would choose 1 or 2 specializations. Those specializations are 16 units each, so 4 classes from each of the categories. So you could choose to specialize in accounting and finance, marketing and business analytics, or management and strategy. And again, because of the number of units that you have to play with, you could choose to do 1 or 2 of those specializations. And then I touched on this a little bit earlier, but the lower division coursework will really have a big focus on quantitative skills. So you're going to take calculus, you're going to take economics, accounting, statistics will be in there. So there's really a focus on doing kind of like individual coursework and building up your quantitative skills. And then as you move past your early years and into your upper division classes, that's when you're going to take some of the more business focused classes that are more specialized, and they're going to start to give you the real world skills. There will be more case studies. There's going to be more teamwork so that you can build some of those like communication, presentation skills, just things that are really applicable to actual industry settings. So that you start to get some of the skills that you could use as you move into a career. And so we'll touch on some of the careers that it's possible to have because there are those different specializations and there are quite a number of classes to choose from. You really get kind of a wide range of options. So Julie will move through the slides and we'll be able to see. So some of them are going to be more, again, quantitative focus, such as finance and accounting. And then there will be ones that are more analytics based. So we've got marketing and strategy. Entrepreneurship is going to be a big one. There's management and strategy. So you can read through some of these titles to kind of understand the array of opportunities that there would be. As you kind of get into your 3rd and 4th years, you'll really start to get an idea of where your strengths are, what you actually like. And so there will be some opportunities there. And then for those of you who are maybe considering roles in nonprofits, that will be one of the next ones to pop up. So again, just a lot of possibilities for what you could do in the future. Some of you will try and go straight into employment. Some of you may be considering graduate or professional programs. But again, this is really kind of a way for you to get broad experience and then become more specialized as you move through your degree. And then, thank you. We know that there have been a lot of questions about possible links with employers, about assistance with careers. So on our website, there's actually some information about the employers that have tapped up students. These are from our graduate program, but we have similar connections. Some of those employers are still reaching out. They're expressing interest in our undergraduate students in our undergraduate program. So this is the place where you could take a look just to kind of have an idea of what options are out there.
All right, so passing on to me, I'm going to be going over the curriculum in more detail for the business major. So Dominique gave a good overview of what the major is going to entail. This is going into more detail about what the business major curriculum covers. So I'm going to talk about the different courses that are required for the major, and then I will show you how it fits into a sample study plan for 4 years. So the foundation courses for the major include preparatory courses such as calculus, so 3/4 of calculus, 2/4 of economics, statistics, accounting, and writing, and then 1/4 of business law and psychology or sociology. And then the upper division coursework, which is considered the core coursework, that's part of the foundation that will then be used for the specializations, are intermediate microeconomics, which will be 2/4, intermediate macroeconomics, econometrics, which puts statistics and economics together. And then these bottom 5 classes are courses that are offered by the Graduate School of Management, and these are courses that we're already running as part of our minor programs. And Amy actually is taking, maybe has taken all of them. I don't know. We'll find out. But there are 5 core courses that are part of our curriculum. So uses of accounting, information systems, marketing and data analytics, management, finance, and operations. And I have a note here that's going to pop up that talks about course class sizes, because we have been getting that question a lot. So out of the classes that are listed here, the class sizes will vary. The classes that we offer are these 6 classes here, and I think I said 5 earlier. 6 classes here and accounting. So those are our classes, and I can tell you that these classes here, our core courses, are running at about 150 to 170 students. And accounting is slightly bigger because these preparatory courses are for the general campus. So students from all different majors take these classes. So these classes can be over 200 students each. And as you go up into your upper division, they get slightly smaller, but like I said, 150 to 100 about 170 for those. And then we get into our specialization courses. So these are courses that students would most likely take late in their junior year or senior year. We offer 4 different specializations, and I'm not going to read through all the different courses, but you could see the 4 specializations. Accounting, which there's no choice in, so students would be required to take all 4 courses. Finance would choose 4 courses. Marketing and business analytics choose 4 courses, and then strategy and management. So this is a joint effort between 3 different departments on campus, this major. So it's a joint effort between the Graduate School of Management, the Department of Economics, and then the Department of Agricultural and Resource Economics. And these courses that are listed here some of them are offered by economics, some of them are offered by agricultural and resource economics, and then about 3 to 4 of them are offered by our department. So I can talk to the ones about our department about class sizes. These are going to be about 75 to 100 students each. All right, so like I said earlier, putting all those classes into a sample study plan. So this is the same set of coursework, but just put into a sample study plan. And this is will highly vary. So every student's plan will look different. There is a lot of room in the plan. So you can see these electives, those are extra classes that are needed to get unit count up to 180 for a bachelor's degree at UC Davis. So those are the types, those are the class spaces where students can take a minor or a small second major. And you can see there's quite a few slots for those electives. And then I have a note in here about flexibility and schedules. So I'm going to ask Dominique to give a little spiel about flexibility and scheduling.
I'm going to give a spiel. First, I'm going to acknowledge that there are a couple of questions in the Q&A. Please keep those rolling into that section. We will be answering them at the end. So as you have questions, keep posting those there. Regarding schedules, I know there's sometimes anxiety about, will I get into my classes? Will I be delayed? Is it going to be really hard to register? I know the classes, some of them are big and they get full. Yes, some of those concerns are true. But I really want to emphasize that the goal of taking classes and creating your own schedule isn't to have a schedule that perfectly matches what we've got here. You don't have to follow along exactly. There are very few classes that will tell you you have to take this exact class in this exact quarter. We want you to kind of explore and make slow and steady progress toward the major requirements and toward your degree requirements. It's okay if things get switched around. So for some of you, for example, psychology might come in spring instead of in winter. You might fill in a GE, you might end up with 2 in one quarter and have done 2 major classes the previous quarter. So it's okay if there's a little bit of flexibility and it isn't an exact match for what we have here.
Great, thank you so much. So we're going to move on. getting away from the curriculum and moving towards support. So academic advising is a support service for students. So one of the things for the business major will be a strong emphasis in proactive advising. That means reaching out to students and engaging them early and often. And Dominique is the advisor for the students that are entering this fall. And we'll be working with the students that are entering into the business major from the time of coming into campus. So well, even before coming into the time of coming into campus, so during orientation this summer, and then all the way until graduation. Another part of the major that is not part of the curriculum, but part of our advising curriculum is to offer this first year success seminar course to students, which is considered a transition course. It's not something offered widely on campus yet, but we hope that this is something that can bring value to students as they transition to UC Davis. So time management on the quarter system is very important, study skills, how to be a successful college student, successful communication, being resourceful and professional. Also working on community building. So entering UC Davis into this first cohort, the cohort is going to be about 175 students that are supposed to enter as first years this fall. And so building community within the major, that's one of the emphases of this course, is to bring a sense of belonging within the major. We've been getting a lot of questions about career advising and how that's going to be brought in. And so students are going to be required to meet with their advisor, and then the career advising piece will also come in to play as well as part of that, gearing up for getting an internship, hopefully after junior year, and then also launching into the career after graduation. So those are all part of advising, but then there's also a much bigger piece of a career advising, which is housed by the Career Center on campus, where there are career advisors, and there's specific advisors in the liberal arts and business section of the Career Center. All right. So I know that there are a few people here that are admitted to UC Davis, but not admitted to the business major. So I wanted to go over some other options, and maybe this would also be an option for students that might be thinking about maybe transitioning out of the business major to another major and maybe would like to keep a little bit of the business. So I want to talk a bit about our two minor programs. So we have two minors currently, technology management and accounting. Both minors are 5 upper division courses, and they can complement any major on campus. They're open to any student. And these provide skills in business, management, and accounting. They are also team-based, and I'll go over this a little bit more, with the technology management minor, and then accounting, it's more individual-based. So I'm going back to this business major curriculum because I just want to point out that the technology management minor is essentially this subset of courses from the business major. So we're already offering these courses. We've been running these courses for about 20 years now. They're going to form some of the core for the business major, but they also form the core, or it is the technology management minor. So if you look at the technology management minor, it has a required course of accounting and then an option to choose 5 of the 7 courses here that are laid out from that core courses. And then there's a couple other options as well. We are actually trying to change the name of the technology management minor. We've already submitted a proposal to change the name from technology management to business. So fingers crossed that goes through. And then I wanted to point out, we're going back to our specializations page here from the business major, that if you highlight the specialization in accounting, these 4 courses plus 1 more are part of our accounting minor. So again, we've been running these courses for a long time now, and they are part of our business major, but they are also our accounting minor. All right. So another thing that we're proposing is a name change to our school, because we've been a graduate school since 1981. And it is now changing to incorporate an undergraduate major, which we will then be the degree granting body on campus. And so the graduate part of our name doesn't make sense anymore. So we're changing to, well, we're proposing to change to the School of Business. So additional information for those that are thinking about switching to business. Show the change of major requirements here. So the change of major requirements to change into business include taking coursework towards the major and showing how well you can perform in these courses. So minimum 3.2 GPA is required in this list of courses here. It's about 8 courses because there's a year of calculus in there. So it will take probably about 4 to 5 quarters to complete this list of courses here. And then once that bar is reached, then there is a lottery. So any student that meets these requirements would then need to enter the lottery, which will take place starting in fall 2027. And the lottery will then accept 50 of those students. And the lottery is a random number picker. So it's just once this bar is reached, then it is put into a random number generator that will then pick the 50 students. All right, getting back to my presentation here. I'm seeing that going back and forth between PowerPoint is a little challenging. Okay, and then I also wanted to bring up one more thing that's going to take me back to my web browser here. If you have not seen this already and you are thinking about either switching into business or switching out of business, I wanted to point out this business economics cluster that has been formed between the 3 departments that I mentioned earlier, economics, us, and then the Department of Agricultural and Resource Economics, which has the managerial economics major. And so there is a comparison between the 3 majors here. And if this other website comes up here, I'll show you the comparison of coursework. So you can see that there's a comparison of the coursework and what's involved in each major. And this can help determine like, hey, you know, I really like this or I don't like this. The core coursework, how are these different in the different majors? And then what does the upper division coursework look like for the 3 majors? So I wanted to show you about that. Going back to my presentation here. All right, we have comments from Amy. So I'm going to pass it off to Amy, who is, like she said earlier, she's been minoring in technology management and also accounting. So she's been taking these classes, and so she can give you more information about what the classes are like.
All right, thank you, Julie. Okay, I can start from my experience in accounting. As Julie mentioned earlier, team-based activities versus non-team-based. Yes, accounting is, in comparison to technology management classes, there are more individual. Since there are like 3 parts of accounting, there's the intermediate financial accounting 1 and part 2, part 3. Usually people tend to take these in sequence, like you would take a fall quarter, part 1 in fall quarter, and then in winter quarter you would take part 2, and then spring quarter you would take part 3, just because the materials taught in each of these classes are related to one another. So it'd be nice if you take it before you kind of like, if you break a quarter and then you kind of forgot some of the materials. This way, if you just take it one quarter after another, it would flow better in your schedule. So that allows like you and like your classmates in those classes tend to be consistent. You would see like familiar faces for like 3 quarters straight possibly, and a lot of students tend to form study groups, and you can like study together and also make consistent connections in your classes as well. Typically in technology management classes, these classes are a lot more team-based because all of the team assignments in there heavily focuses on you meeting up with your team outside of class time and outside of discussion time. it requires y'all to like maybe meet up in person, or if in person doesn't work all the time, y'all would maybe schedule a Zoom meeting and then complete the assignments together. There's a lot of like research projects that requires y'all to like go and gather data, maybe in person, such as like surveys with your teams. And there's also other assignments, such as case studies, where you and your group would complete together as well. And another team activity that some classes may have are team midterms. Some classes, some professors would have team midterms for the student, and then have like an individual part. But then you would have to like meet together with your team to do the midterm, and then the individual part is like towards the end. That's like my typical experience throughout my accounting classes and technology management classes.
Thank you so much, Amy. That's great.
Of course.
All right, so that is the end of our presentation. We're going to move on to questions.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Julie, Amy, and Dominique. And thank you again to everyone for joining us. We appreciate you submitting your questions in the Q&A box. So please, if you have any questions, submit it in the Q&A box at the bottom of the Zoom screen. And first, we will start off with the first question submitted in the Q&A. Can non-business majors take marketing classes? This is a two-part question, so that's the first one. Can non-business majors take marketing classes?
So I'm trying to figure out the fastest way to the slide. Actually, let me just bring up the let me see. Oh yeah, this is going to take forever to go through all this. Okay, this will work. So essentially, the core courses for the business major includes a marketing course. So this MGT 140 is open to all majors. So that's open to any student on campus. The follow-up courses, the specialization courses that are directly linked to marketing. So it would be these 140 courses, 141, 143, 145. Those will be restricted to students within the business major. I don't know yet, because we don't offer them yet, in terms of like how much room we would have for students outside the major or not. So that's still yet to be determined. There are not plans to develop a minor in marketing that I have heard the faculty rumbling about. So I haven't heard that. I've heard plans to develop an innovation and entrepreneurship minor. That's been in the works for a few years now, but I have not heard anything about marketing yet.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate showing us the visuals too of the types of courses students can take if they're in the business major and not in the business major and are interested in marketing classes. We have a question regarding AP credit. Will we be able to jump to the more core classes right away if I have AP credit in several of the base classes in high school? So that would be classes, AP classes like microeconomics, macroeconomics, could be AP calculus.
I can take this one if you want to. Okay, so the answer is potentially. It will really depend on your specific AP scores. And if you decide to join us as you move through the advising process leading up to registration, you're going to get more specific information on what class equivalents you get. For some of those equivalents, you actually are allowed to repeat the class. Sometimes it's encouraged depending on what it is. We really want to make sure that students have a strong foundation, for example, in calculus. So you're allowed to repeat that. And some of them you're actually not allowed to repeat, and you would need to jump ahead. So it's really going to depend on your specific scores and which course it is or which subject it was. But in some cases, it will be possible to jump ahead a little bit.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dominique. And for any of those that are interested in learning more about AP credit and which scores you need to receive that credit, you can visit, if you Google UC Davis AP credit, there is a chart that lets you know which scores are needed to meet that course equivalency at UC Davis. Please note that those scores will vary at each of the UC campuses that you are admitted to. We have another question. What is the workload like for each different department in the business major? And we know that this is much more so what we anticipate since you are the first cohort to enter in the new business major. They're wondering because they have committed to play a sport at UC Davis and want to do something a little lighter. So if you have any insight into what the workload will look like for each department.
So, like it was mentioned several times, this is a quantitative major. Students can have a hard time in calculus sometimes, so that can be a challenging course, or 3/4, of course. Economics can also prove its own challenges. So I do think that this major does have some courses that are higher bars than others. In the core courses, intermediate, micro, macro, but econometrics is actually probably going to be the hardest course in the major, where statistics and economics are put together. So I would not say that this is an easy major. It's definitely a challenging major with a lot of rigor. It's not as much coursework put together as it would be for engineering, or maybe some of the other hard sciences like chemistry or physics, or maybe applied math, but it definitely does have a very strong amount of coursework that is needed and study time that's going to be dedicated to this major. But that being said, just to let you know, there is something called the Carnegie Rule on campus. Depending on the number of units that you're taking, you would take that number of units and multiply it by 3. So if a student is taking 12 units per quarter, then they should be allocating 36 hours per week for all of their coursework. So that would include lecture time, discussion time, and then all the extra time for studying and all the other things that come with studying, such as office hours and homework and assignments and things like that. So that being said, I think that, if there's any sort of thought about not having enough time for the courses, I think that is even more reason to join our first year that are in the fall, which will be covering time management and how to be successful at UC Davis.
Wonderful. Thank you, Julie. Great to know there is that course they can take their first year with how to maximize their first year there and to have the steps to be successful. We know many of you are interested in what study abroad looks like, specifically for those in the new business major. Any insight you can provide for study abroad programs? I can also share links after our panelists share information, as there are actually already programs available to those who are interested in business to communications and economics for study abroad.
I am a big proponent of study abroad, so we'll talk about it a little bit more generally, not just specific to the business major, but in general, and I can pop the link. UC Davis has opportunities for students to go. So for some classes, they've already decided if you go on this program and you take this class at this partner institution, it will count for some sort of credit or some sort of equivalent class at Davis. So that's kind of one of the easiest ways because you know what to expect ahead of time. And so you don't have to kind of worry or stress about whether or not there will be credit. One of the things we talked a little bit about was flexibility in the scheduling. So what you may find is that you decide to kind of create your study plan for a given year such that you have space maybe, for example, you realize that only 2 of the 4 classes on a program that you really like are going to be directly applicable, you may still decide that that's worthwhile to do because you've given yourself the space on either side to make up those classes. You're still getting credit for it. So I do think that there will be capacity to do study abroad programs. I don't think that there's a specific business study program in the works, but maybe Julie can speak to that a little bit.
Yes, we actually have a meeting this Friday to talk about it, what sort of study abroad opportunities are going to be available for the major. So it's still to be determined. I've also broached the faculty to let them know that they could teach our core courses abroad. So we'll see if there's any takers. So it's definitely a work in progress. There's a lot of interest, in global business. So I think that it's definitely something that we want to encourage, but it's just we haven't fleshed out all the details yet.
Well, thank you so much, Dominique and Julie. We have a question for those that would like to finish their undergrad in 3 years. I hope to finish my undergrad in 3 years. Would that have any impact in my internship opportunities or course selections?
Yes. So I'm going to go back to sharing. So essentially at UC Davis, what I typically see for students is that they do their internship. I'm trying to get this to the sample study plan. So let me bring up that study plan here. So if you're trying to condense this into 3 years, essentially what happens is that it takes out some opportunities for internships because a lot of the time students will get an internship in between year 3 and year 4. So if you're consolidating to 3 years, then it does take out that opportunity to do an internship, unless you're able to find something between year 2 and year 3, which can be a little bit more challenging because a lot of companies will like to see students that have already completed their core coursework before taking their internship. So it can be more challenging to find an internship after sophomore year versus junior year. Not impossible, but it would potentially make that a little bit more challenging. And I think there was a question about the course options too, or was it just the internship?
Yes, and course selections.
Okay, yes. So the specialization courses that are for the business major are already being offered from the Department of Economics and ARE, so Agricultural and Resource Economics. So a lot of these courses are already running. They're already running. The bottom, I'm trying to figure out where the ones that are MGT courses, those are ours. So I think they are at the top. I could be wrong because I don't have the numbers on here. Yes, they are at the top. So the top 3 in each column are MGT courses, and those are not running yet because they haven't been approved. They're not part of any curriculum yet. So those we don't plan to run until 2027, 2028 academic year. So if you're planning on graduating earlier, there might be less of a chance to take the MGT courses. The 3 top courses of each specialization. We're just going to start running those in 2027, 2028. So there may not be all of them running yet.
Thank you, Julie. We have a question. Considering this is the first year of this new major, is this undergrad degree recognized as it will be the first undergrad business course? And also, will it qualify as STEM opt? So it's our acronym STEM and OPT.
So I will say that the business major has been highly anticipated on campus just for a long time. So you are still getting a UC Davis degree. And we obviously see that our students who finish in economics or in managerial economics have a lot of opportunities. And the recruiters and the employers that we work with will know, that you have come from UC Davis and from the business major. So I wouldn't worry too much about maybe there being like a lack of recognition for that. In terms of STEM OPT, we have an office on campus called Services for International Students and Scholars, or Scholars and Students. I might have it backwards. And they work primarily with helping our international community with like visa needs, with settling in, and just kind of getting situated with life at Davis. And I will defer to them on questions related to OPT, just because it's very important that we not give you wrong information about visa stuff. So you could connect with that office when it's time for you to make those decisions and see what input they have.
Thank you so much, Dominique. We know that you covered this earlier in the presentation, but we are getting questions about those who were admitted to a different major at UC Davis. Are they able to switch to the business major in their freshman year? We know you've mentioned fall 2027. If you can please share more about the details for those that are interested in the opportunity or possibility of changing their major to business.
Yes. So the first lottery for the change of major isn't starting until fall 2027. So students that are entering UC Davis this fall will not be able to change until earliest fall 2027. So there is going to be this limbo where you will be pursuing a major that you may or may not get into in fall 2027. And I realize that that is not the best place to be. So there are options. So I think that it's going to be important to have like plan A is to try to meet these eligibility requirements to get into the lottery, but to also have some backup plans in case we have more than 50 students that want to enter the lottery, and you're not chosen to be into the to get into the business major. So that's why we have the comparison between the three majors in here as alternatives, and then we also have our two minor programs to complement.
Thank you for the details, Julie. And we'll make sure to put that link in the chat as well for any folks that would like to compare the three different majors at UC Davis. We have a question, considering this is a new and growing major. Does Davis plan to hire more business professors and offer more undergraduate business classes in time for fall 2027?
So there is a lot of planning right now underway for projected enrollments and in terms of what we're going to be offering over the next 5 years, 5 to 6 years. We're going all the way to 2020, 2030 with our planning. So by 2027, we do plan to offer a lot more courses than we offer right now for the minors, because those minor classes are already full. So we are going to be supplementing those. In terms of instructors, there is a plan to hire a few more instructors, but the Graduate School of Management already houses 32 faculty. And so we also have a lot of instructors or lecturers who work in industry who come and teach for us and offer their expertise there. So we do actually have quite a lot of instructors and professors already that are already here.
Wonderful, thank you. And exciting to hear planning till 2030. We have a question for someone that has been admitted to multiple business majors and programs across the UC system. So their student is asking, first, congratulations on your multiple admittance offers. They're asking, in other words, is there a more general sense of how does this major and program offer that students would not find anywhere else? Are there any aspects of this program that are quite unique versus maybe other programs offered elsewhere within the UC system?
I went to high school in downtown Berkeley, and I can tell you that Davis is way more beautiful. But to give a serious answer, so one of the cool things is, like we talked about, it is STEM designated. So again, that really strong quantitative aspect early on, and then you transition and get the balance of some of the more hands-on group-based learning with the teamwork experience and some of the industry experience. And Julie can probably speak more directly to this, but I think that's one of the aspects that students who are in the minors really appreciate, is kind of that opportunity to get more of the case studies, more of the teamwork, and to really have something that's a little bit more robust than maybe just some of the lecture-based stuff. But I'll let her give more details on that.
I think Dominique touched on a lot of the things. We're also much smaller, so there is going to be more programming as well as more of hopefully a sense of community. I don't know Haas, like I'm not, there, so I can't really compare it specifically. But I think that it is a much bigger school with a lot more students. So I think that will be a much smaller program. But definitely, I think that like with depending on schools you've been accepted to, it is a question of where you feel like you're going to fit better. So visiting campus is really important in terms of like, what do you want to get out of your 4 years in college? And how does it feel at Berkeley versus Davis? I think the feel on campus has a lot more to do sometimes than the specific major. At least my experience is that you're not just taking classes all the time. It's about your whole holistic experience on campus.
Thank you, Dominique and Julie. We have some questions about the resources and opportunities available to those admitted in the business major. So what are some examples of internship and career opportunities and resources?
All right, so I showed this earlier, but this is from our website. This is a list of companies that have recruited or have picked up our graduate students. So these are companies that are looking at our students, and these are our grad students. So we don't have any data for undergrads, but the thing is that we've been kind of a smaller grad school in the scheme of MBA programs. And now that we have an undergrad degree, it's bringing us more attention. And so we are hoping that a lot more recruiters are actually looking at us more than previously. So there are quite a few companies that are excited about this undergraduate degree launching. And so I think that there's going to be a lot more opportunities. We partner heavily with the Career Center on campus, and they're also a lot of emphasis is on career over there in terms of like career fairs. They offer resume workshops, interviewing workshops, a lot of different opportunities for career building type things.
Thank you so much, Julie, and sharing the visual here of some examples of companies that have visited campus to recruit our graduate school students. And this kind of is a nice segue into student clubs and organizations. Students are curious about, are there any examples like investment banking club or summer internship opportunities to prepare students? And Amy, if you have any experiences within this is a great time to share more about how you've been involved too throughout the years.
Yeah, I can start first then. Since I'm a transfer student, so I transferred here in 2023, and this is my second year here at UC Davis. And starting spring 2024, I joined this club called Economics and Business Student Association, where a summary of what they do basically is they host case competitions quarterly, and there's like about 11 to like 14-ish teams competing against each other, and each quarter the theme could be different. One quarter it's probably entrepreneurship, and next quarter it's probably more emphasis on financial analysis, and another quarter it's like marketing emphasis more. Overall, it's a great club for you to gain hands-on experience, because in each group there's like about 1 or 2 mentors that has experience or maybe has like internship experience in other firms such as like maybe Anderson, EY, like all like those kind of big companies as well, the big four, and they teach you and you get exposed to more of the terminologies in the industry in this kind of field. So that's how I got more exposed to what I wanted to do in terms of like a career opportunity. I was exploring, oh, do I want to do something like auditing and like accounting, or do I want to do something more like finance and business? And overall, it's there's many other clubs on campus as well, like the investment and banking club, and as well as the economics collectives club, that all like have mentorship and guest speaker opportunities and other sort of workshops that allows you to explore what you really want to do. And that's how I also landed my job that I have lined up for me post graduation as well.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amy, sharing your experiences within how you've been able to explore economics, not just academically, but also in the non-academic sphere with student life. And thank you, Dominique. In the chat, everyone, Dominique has shared a link to all of the campus organizations and student clubs for you to explore and learn more, everything from the business and economics club that Amy shared to potentially that investment banking club that you asked about in the Q&A. We have some questions about opportunities to interact with graduate business students, given that there are no current seniors in the business major. So students are wondering, are there any networking opportunities? And Amy's kind of touched up upon that with student life clubs and organizations, but if there are any happening in the horizon networking opportunities with our graduate business students.
I would have to say that that's something we haven't been thinking about because our graduate programs are sort of separate from our undergraduate degrees. I think the most partnering that would happen would be with students that are in other majors. So those two majors that I was mentioning here on the comparison, so the economics and managerial economics. So those are essentially what our business major on campus has been up until this point. And so there are students in these two majors that students will be taking courses with as well. And then there are also students that will sort of form the community as you go through the major. But so, yeah, I don't really have a good answer for that at this point, but it could potentially be something. And that's kind of it right now with the major is that we're growing and developing. And so if there is something that is really desired from students, then I think there is the opportunity to add programs like that.
Thank you for the insight, Julie. And we have some questions more so on the advising piece. Can I take lower division courses online from a community college while simultaneously during the fall and spring quarters while enrolled at UC Davis?
So in general, students need special permission to be enrolled at an outside institution while you're in an active term at UC Davis. We just kind of want to have a conversation with you and understand what's going on and if there's a better way to achieve what you're trying to do. So I won't guarantee you that you can do that. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky, especially most community colleges are on the semester system and we're on the quarter system. So there isn't always perfect alignment. So in general, if there's something that you're trying to achieve, have a conversation with us about it first, just so that we can understand your concerns. And then your advising team will help you decide the best way to move forward or to meet the degree requirement that you're trying to meet.
Thank you so much, Dominique. There's definitely some questions in the Q&A about the evolution of the new business major. What was the demand for this program? And are you able to share how many students applied? We know that application, the fall 2025 application pool is still fresh. So that question may not be able to be answered in regards to how many applied, admitted, but are you able to share more about what was the demand and how did this evolve to the new business major?
Yes, so it did receive a lot of interest. having this business major on campus. It was very exciting. A lot of people are very excited, not just us, but a lot of different, I think admissions is excited too. So I think that, yes, there's been a lot of demand. Number wise, like Iona stated, we don't really know exact numbers yet, but it's definitely been in demand. The number we do know is that we are, our target number is to have 175 first years start in the fall.
Thank you, Julie. There's definitely a lot more questions about opportunities to interact and to network. Are there any programs that connect undergraduates with local businesses so that they can do consulting and get real world experiences?
Currently, no, there's nothing like that yet. I think that we have had conversations about, it's called integrated programming within the major, bringing in other companies that would have projects to our undergrads. That would be done more on a extracurricular way, so under the guidance of a faculty member. So that would fall more under working with a faculty member to do different types of projects. So that's definitely something that we would like to do, yes.
Thank you. And we just want to share, everyone, we are coming close to our end time at 7 p.m., but we do want to make sure we answer your questions. So we have one regarding that since the business major is STEM based, would I qualify for STEM focused scholarships and resources?
I will answer this, and I apologize that it's going to be a bit of a vague answer. So the answer is potentially, but different institutions, different agencies will define STEM differently. So it's really going to depend on their specific requirements. I encourage you all to get in touch with the financial aid office if you haven't. They are the ones who could tell you specific to Davis what you're eligible for. So let me include that link. So that would be the first stop that I would say to make. And then I'm going to transition a little bit because we are getting really close to the wrap up time. We've had a lot of questions come in with concerns just about careers, internship opportunities. We've kind of touched on it a little bit, but I will just really try to emphasize that Davis is trying to be really intentional and focused on making sure that students have a pretty smooth transition from degree into employment. And so there is a lot of support on campus. There's a career center where there's kind of a centralized space. And so there's career fairs that I think Julie talked about a little bit. And so there are different opportunities because we want to make sure that you get out there, that you feel like you have the support that you need, that you're having the experiences that are going to help give you a really robust undergraduate experience. And so I just kind of want for you all to understand that it is something that UC Davis takes very seriously to make sure that you feel like you have that support to get real world and real industry experience.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dominique, and I appreciate you adding links in the chat to learn more about our Career Center. Note that UC Davis hosts one of the largest internship and career centers in the state, and we're proud to have so many resources to ensure that you're not just surviving college, but truly thriving during your time in college at UC Davis and once you graduate. But we just want to give a huge shout out to all of our panelists and our current student. So thank you so much, Amy, Julie, and Dominique, for all of your insight to share more about our new business major as part of the Graduate School of Management. And of course, we cannot be here without all of you, our admitted students. So again, congratulations to all of those who are admitted for fall 2025. We appreciate you taking time to learn more, and we hope to see you this upcoming fall at UC Davis. We would also like to highlight that this session is going to be offered again tomorrow, April 12th at 4 to 5 p.m. at Pacific time. I've put in the chat a link to this event and to other events for our admitted students. But I do want to leave time for any of our panelists that would like to share other insight tips. But again, congratulations, everyone, and thank you again for joining us.